Question 4 is a percentage question. You'd be lucky to get this one in exams, very straightforward. Lydia's buying a ring. The ring costs £60. She pays a deposit of 40%. Work out how much she pays as the deposit. So we're looking for the deposit. And as it says in the question, the deposit is 40% of £60. Now, if this was a calculator question, I could just type in 0.4 times 60. But it's not, it's a non-calculator, so I need to use a method. And the method I'm going to use is to find 10% and then scale up. So in order to find 10% of anything, it's always divide by 10. So 60 divided by 10 equals £6. So 10% is worth £6. That means 20% would be double that, 30% would be 3 times that, and 40% is 4 times that. So 10% times 4 gives me 40%, and 6 times 4 equals £24. With regards to the marks, this is only a 2-mark question. You get an answer mark for getting the correct answer, and you get a method mark for showing that you know how to find 10% and then scale up. 5 is a straight line graph question. They want you to plot the straight line graph. To draw a straight line graph, you're going to need a pencil and a ruler. So on the grid, draw the graph of y equals 4x plus 2 from x is negative 1 to x equals 3. So default response, do a table of values with your values for x, which they've said above as negative 1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. And then we need a value for y, and they've said above that y equals 4x add 2. So in order to get my y values, I'm going to multiply this number by 4 and then add the 2. So 1 times 4 is negative 4, add on 2 is negative 2. 4 times 0 is 0, add on 2 is 2. Then we've got 6, 10, and 14. Now I can go ahead and plot these values as the x value and then the y value as coordinates. So my first point is negative 1 across and down to negative 1, 2. Be careful of the scale here. Even though we said down 2, it's actually gone across 2 spaces. So always look at the axis to check what the scale is. Then I've got 0, 2. Then I've got 1, 6. Then I've got 2, 10. Then I've got 3, 14. And then join them using a ruler. And at this point, it's quite valuable to use as a way of checking your work, because if you've drawn your straight line and you can see that any of your points are not on the line, so if, for example, I had a point that was there for some reason, I can very clearly see that is wrong and I can read the value off the line. So that is a 3-mark question, of which you get 1 mark for a correct table of values with the x values that they've requested. You get another method mark, which allows you to follow through your mistakes made in the table above. So let's say you made a mistake there, but you plotted it, you still get that method mark. So you can get a method mark for your points, and you then get the final answer mark for having the line in the correct position. Question B wants you to write down the equation of a straight line that's parallel to y equals 4x plus 2. So that was that line there, y equals 4x plus 2. Now, hopefully, you know that parallel lines are like train tracks. They run alongside each other and don't touch. So if that is our line, a parallel line might be there, or there, or there, or there, or there, or there. And the only thing that changes whenever you have parallel lines on a graph is the place it cuts on the y-axis. So I'm going to just draw in green some parallel lines. It would be up 1, up 1, up 1. So that line is actually going to be parallel. And the only difference is that 4. So at the end of the line they gave us, they had a +2. That's why my line goes through +2. But this line is parallel. And the only thing that's changed, it's still y equals 4x. But I just need to change the end number. I'll say +4. You could have anything. You could have y equals 4x plus 3, y equals 4x plus 1, y equals 4x minus 10, anything. The important thing is that the 4x stays the same. And that's just a 1 mark question for having y equals 4x and then any kind of adjustment there as long as it isn't 2. And then part B is another quite specialist piece of information that they're asking for. They want you to write down the gradient, and it's just the gradient, not the full equation. They want you to write down the gradient of a straight line that is perpendicular to y equals 4x plus 2. Now we know that parallel, because we said it above, is the train tracks. Perpendicular is the opposite of that. Perpendicular are the lines that cross at a 90-degree angle. And there's just a rule when working out the gradient of a perpendicular line. Our gradient there, in the question above, is 4. Okay, in order to do it perpendicular, we need to make it negative 1 over 4. So the gradient to a line that's perpendicular is just negative 1 over 4. And again, that's just worth 1 mark. And it's a B mark because it's just showing a piece of information that you know, it's showing a piece of knowledge. It's irrelevant, but that would also be a B mark, actually, because you're showing a piece of knowledge. Question 6 is an area question. The diagram shows the plan of Mrs. Phillips's living room. And this is it in the L shape. Mrs. Phillips is going to cover the floor with floorboards. 1 pack of floorboards covers 2.5 meters squared. How many packs of floorboards does she need? You must show your working. This is a compound area question. They want you, and they want to see you, split that compound shape up into 2 recognisable shapes. In this case, 2 rectangles. Now, because this is all about how many packs of flooring she needs, and they've told me that the area covered by 1 pack is 2.5, it means the first thing I need to do is find the area of the actual living room. So I'm going to start with this square. What's the area of this square? Well, area of a rectangle, is base times height. And I can see that this is 6 wide and 2 across. So it's 6 times 2, which equals 12 meters squared. Then I'm going to find the area of this shape. So area is base times height. Here I've got a base of 2 and they haven't given me a height. However, I can see that they've given me here the whole thing is 5, and they've told me on this rectangle that the top rectangle is worth 2. So if that was worth 5 and that is worth 2, then this side is just worth 3 meters. So I'm going to end up with 2 times 3, which is 6 meters squared. Now I know the area of that shape and the area of that shape, I can find the total area. And I'm going to call it total area because I'm going to show the examiner what I'm doing. I'm also going to show him that I'm going to take that 12 meters squared and I'm going to add it to that 6 meters squared, because the total area of the floor is going to be the total area of this part, add that part. So my total area is actually 18 meters squared. Now at this point I've got 2 marks. I get 1 mark for showing that I know how to find the area of one of the shapes, and the second mark for finding the other and combining them. Now the next part requires you saying how many packs are needed. We've got 18 meters squared, and so if this was a calc paper I would do 18 meters squared and I would divide that by the 2.5 meters squared that 1 pack covers, and that will give me my number of packs. But this is a non-calc paper, so I'm not going to use that. I need to find a method that I'm comfortable using. And in fact, for me, right now, that's going to be listing them. 2.5 meters squared would be 1 pack. 2 packs would mean that I can cover 5 metres squared. 3 packs would cover 7.5. 4 packs would cover 10 metres squared. 5 packs would cover 12.5 metres squared. 6 packs would cover 15. 7 packs would cover 17.5 metres squared. And 8 packs would cover 20 metres squared. Now I wanted to cover 18 metres squared. So that means 7 packs is not going to be enough. And although 8 packs is too much, if I need the whole floor covered, I need to buy 8 packs of the tiles. So I'm then going to make my statement that she needs 8 packs of floorboards. I think I was calling them tiles all the way throughout. I mean floorboards. So I got 2 marks up there for the area. This is a 4-mark question. I get a method mark for showing that I know I needed to find how many of those 2.5s go into 18. So that was my 3rd mark. My 4th mark is a communication mark, and that's for clearly stating the answer to the question, which is that she needs to buy 8 packs of floorboards.